Hey folks, Sheila here from Design Files. In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can apply trim moldings to your walls using the Design Files 3D floor planner. So if you like the idea of being able to create detailed paneled walls like this, or if you had some sort of niche that was built into your wall and you wanted to frame it out with some trim, or even if you wanted to create some picture frames for artwork that you plan to include within your client space, you could do all of those things using the functionality that I'm about to show you in this video. Now in this case, I've created just a basic design here. So I've got paneled walls on either side here. I didn't add any panels to this wall right here. This is the one that we're going to be editing in this particular video. So we'll do that. And just to speed up the process a little bit, I did already go ahead and apply the paint color and the crown molding, the chair rail, and the baseboard to all of the walls. There are videos within the video tutorial library that will show you exactly how to do that. In this particular video, we're going to be focusing mainly on applying shapes to the wall and then adding trim to those shapes. So let's go ahead and we're going to get started. What you want to do is you want to click directly on the wall that you want to edit. It's going to show you this tooltip right here, and then you're going to click that to edit the surface. That's going to take you into the wall surface editor. Now I'll just zoom in here. You can see the wall that we've selected. You'll be able to see the divider lines indicating where the crown molding, the chair rail, and the baseboard are. So that will help you design around those elements. And then here you can see that I've also already gone ahead and I've added in my first rectangular shape that we're going to be applying a color to and also applying trim to. Now, if it's your first time coming into the wall editor, what you're going to do is you're going to hop over here to the right side panel. Here you're going to see that you've got your material library, and there's loads of different materials and paint colors and everything that you could possibly add to your walls, and also you could use any of these textures or finishes to apply to any of the trim elements that you add to the walls. Now here you've got your trim library where you can see all the baseboard, the crown molding, and the chair rail options. And then you also have your shape library as well. And for any of the shapes that you add to the wall, you're able to also apply trim to them. So the way that it would work is that you would basically select a shape, I'm going to click on the rectangular one here. I would move my mouse out over to the wall, click once to activate it, move my mouse out, and then I would click again to release it, and then you'll see that shape show on the wall. Now, if you did want to be able to adjust the size of it, you can click and drag any of the edges in and out, and you'll see the measurements for all of the edges for your shape. And you can also just click directly on it and freely move it about the actual wall. Now I'm going to delete this one because I've already created the shape that I'm going to be focused on here. And we're just going to move this screen over. So I'm going to click on this shape because the first thing that I need to do here is I want to apply a color to it, and then I'm going to apply a trim to it. I want everything to be the same color, so I'm going to go over to the paint color library right here. I'm going to go down to the Pharaoh and Ball collection, and this is the color that I'm going to apply, Barrington Blue. So I'm going to click on that, I'm going to click directly on the shape, and it will fill that shape with that color. Now over here, you're going to notice that the right side panel has changed. So it's showing me the color that I used, and it's also showing me an option here where I can add trim. So if I click this checkbox here, it's going to open up all the trim properties, and this is what I'm going to use to customize the trim. So the first thing that I can do here is I can pop into the trim style library here, and you're going to see all these different options that are available to you. So you could pick the specific trim detail that you want and then apply it to the shape. Now, just for the sake of, doing this video tutorial, while I would probably choose something like this for picture frame molding, I'm actually going to take something with a much thicker and chunkier profile, just so I can show you how that trim is going to be affected by some of the other properties. I think it's going to be easier to see it that way. So I'm going to take this one, and you can already see how much thicker it looks on this actual shape here. And if I open up the 3D previewer here and we just zoom in a little bit, you'll be able to see those details on this particular piece of trim. So you can get a sense for what the relief looks like. Now over here, you also have the ability to adjust the trim height and the trim depth. Now these are actually linked by default, so that if you did adjust the trim height, it's automatically also going to adjust the depth so everything stays proportionate. If you don't want it to do that, you can unlink it and you can adjust them individually. Down here, you've got your trim offset, and I'm just going to rotate this design around a little bit. Now, in this case, I wouldn't use the trim offset to create a paneled wall, because essentially what this is going to do is if I put 50 inches in here, it's going to bounce that trim off the wall 50 inches. It does come in handy in other use cases, and I will create videos that will show you how to use it. You just don't need it when you're dealing with a paneled wall. The other thing that you have here is your trim rotation. Again, it's not something that I would use for when I'm creating a paneled wall, but here, let's just go ahead and we'll just set this up so you can see how it works. I'm going to change this to 90 degrees. Now what that's going to do is it's going to rotate the trim out so it looks like it's actually standing out off the wall versus lying flat on the wall. If I had some sort of extruded shape and I wanted to apply trim to the outer edges, then that would come in handy. In my case, I don't have that. I just want this trim to sit flat on the wall, so I'm going to leave it at 0. Now you also do have the ability, I'm just going to move this over so you can see what we're dealing with here. You also have the ability to choose where you want to place this trim. So do you want it to the outside of the shape, or do you want it to go to the inside of the shape? So you can place it wherever you like. And then again, I'm just going to rotate this around a little bit so we can see what's going on here, and we'll just zoom in a little bit more. You also have the ability to change or flip the trim orientation. So if I flip this horizontally, basically what it's going to do is it's going to take this thick chunky edge of the trim over here and it's going to flip it to the inside edge of this frame here. So if I turn this checkbox on, you're going to see how that adjusts, and I'll just flip it back off. There you go. So you can see how that looks. Now, that can definitely come in handy when you're dealing with your picture frame walls. And also if you were creating some sort of frame for an art piece or anything else, so you can use that. You also have the option to flip it vertically. In this case, I wouldn't necessarily use it for cases where you're going to have trim sitting flat on the wall. It would come in handier in other use cases. If you did it here, it's just going to take this detailed edge and it's going to flip it to face towards the wall. So that's why I say that you wouldn't necessarily use it when you're adding trim flat to the wall. So you can keep that turned off. And then the last thing here, we've got our trim finish. So this is where you get to decide what color or what texture you're going to apply to the trim. So again, I'll go into the paint color library, into Faro and Ball. This is the color, but if you, just to kind of speed up your process, if you have used a particular color elsewhere on your wall, you could always pop into your recents, and then again, you'd be able to find that color very quickly versus having to scroll through the library to try to find that color again. So this is what it looks like. And then, like I said, I'm gonna actually go back to something that's a little bit thinner, a nicer profile for a picture frame box, something like this. And now that I've got that in place, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna duplicate this shape over across the wall here, because I want 3 different rectangles. So we're gonna just duplicate it and move it over, and then I'll use my left, right, up, down arrows to just shift it 1/4 inch at a time. Duplicate it, move it over, and you're going to see those red grid lines pop in, so that'll help you snap into place so you know that you're vertically aligned, and then you can just adjust it using your left, right, up, down keys on your keyboard. So if I open this up, you can see I've got my 3 panels now across the wall, but I also want to have 3 panels that are going to sit below the chair rail as well, which you can see right here. So to do that, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back to the shape library. I'm going to click on the rectangular option. I'm going to bring my mouse out here, and again, you'll see those grid lines appear, so I'll know I'm perfectly aligned with the shape above. I'm going to start my shape, and then I'll move it out until I snap into the edge over here. Click to release, and now I know that this is perfectly aligned, so the only thing I have to do is adjust the upper and bottom edges. I want this to be 6 inches, so it's the same distance from the bottom of the chair rail to the top edge of this trim as it is from the top edge of the chair rail to the bottom edge of that trim. So I'm just making sure that everything is even. And then again, I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm just going to bring this up to 6. Now, if I want to copy the exact same properties that I added to the shape above, I'll select the shape above, click this option right here that says copy shape properties, and then apply it to the one below. And now I can just duplicate this all the way across, and that's it. I'm all done. So we'll hit save here, and you can see what it looks like. Just like that. So you can create whatever shapes you want on your walls. You can apply whatever trim you want. You can change up the finishes. You have full control over how you're going to style your walls. And if you did, let's just go ahead and we're going to clear this surface. Let's say I just did the work on this wall, but I actually want that same detail added to other walls within my space. What I can do is I can click on this wall right here. I can copy the surface, click on any other wall, and I can choose to apply it to this entire room or just the selected wall, and it will apply all of those panels. So definitely jump into your Design Files account, give this feature a try. It's going to open up a world of possibilities for you when you're dealing with your 3D designs, and there are a variety of different ways that you can use it. So fully experiment with it. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to reach out to us on the live chat. I'll be creating additional video tutorials that will be added to our video tutorial library that will show you different ways that you can use this feature. And of course, if there's anything else that you need, you just let us know. Thanks for watching.